Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another art journaling tutorial and I'm starting my page with a jelly print. And it happened that I printed directly in my Royal Talent sketchbook and then the jelly plate teared out the whole spread because it was directly over that binding. And it was laying on my desk, so I decided I will use it as a background for an art journal page because I really love that texture. I'm tearing the paper to the size that I want it to be on my art journal page. I'm working in that action art journal that I shared already a few times on my channel, which I found in the Action store. And if you are from Europe, you might have such a shop nearby you, and they have a really nice and very cheap art journal, which I really love. I did not expect it to be that good. I tried it already with watercolors on the pure paper, and that worked out so nice. I will link up the videos with this book in the info cards so you can check them out. You can see that I have also already started the left spread in this journal. It's currently drying and I will have a video for the left page as well. I will load it up, I think, maybe next week, Saturday, or maybe a little bit later. I don't know. I have to see which videos I already have recorded and yeah, what fits into my schedule. I'm now happy with the size of the papers and I will use a glue stick just as always to stick down the papers, but first I'm looking for a paper for the top of the page that matches the gel print I already have. I picked a print that is more the backside of a jelly printing paper, so it's where I cleaned the brayer and I think I cleaned my helper plate that I've used for this gel print, and I will just tear it to the right size and then adhere it to the top of the page. It uses the same blue that I have on the other print, and so everything looks quite cohesive. I'm now gluing down the papers. I made this with a little bit of a speed up to make the video not too long, and I will then cover the whole spread with a layer of clear gesso, and I'm using again that Liquitex gesso because I love that it's so easy to get this out of the bottle and I don't have to unscrew this big pot of the PBU gesso, which always is so hard to open. And I love the Liquitex clear gesso as much as the other one I've been using. It's super transparent and it has a really nice tooth and texture once it's dry. My gesso is dry and I'm going to add some stenciling with our Sketchy Leaves #4 stencil with black acrylic paint. I'm using a makeup sponge and I try not to overload it so the paint doesn't run under my stencil. I have photos of this finished spread uploaded to our blog. It's on the shop blog and I will give you the link in the video description. I'm cleaning the backside of the stencil in between to make sure it does not, there is no paint on the backside, which then will be transferred to my page. And I want to do a little bit more stenciling to the bottom of the page. I'm super happy with the stenciling. I think it looks quite pretty. And I will now let this dry completely, and then I will be back and add some color to the page. I decided to add some stamping first before I go on top with some other wet mediums. So I save a little bit of time. If I would do the stamping afterwards, I must let the medium dry. I plan to go on top with some kind of watercolor. Not sure at this stage which I am going to use. And the stamp I'm using here is from our Mixed Media Mark stamp set, and it's my go-to stamp. I use that one so often, and I really love it. I think it fits almost every kind of style and every spread. I use black StayZone for the numbers, and here I have another stamp from that same set, and I'm using it with the cactus green from StayZone, which also matches the page quite well. As my background is quite even in the tonal range, I wanted to highlight some areas or make some a little bit more lighter, and therefore I'm using that Art Graf Tailor Shape in white because it's the most opaque watercolor I have ever seen. I really love this one. It also makes amazing splatters on a project. The only concern might be that it's a watercolor, so it will reactivate with other watercolors. But as I'm going on top of my spread and I don't plan to do loads of other stuff, I am happy with that. Of course, as an alternative to this one, you can use white watercolor, white gouache, or a little bit of white gesso and thin it down with water. I decided to give this a bit of a tint with some other of these tailor shape colors. This is the yellow ochre, I think. Again, if you don't have these, it's not a problem at all. You can use usual watercolors or even a little bit of acrylic paint. Or you could just use watercolor pencils and scribble them onto your background and then mix them with a wet brush. I'm now drying my spread quickly with a heat tool, and then I want to add a little bit more color because I really like how the texture is peeking through underneath those layers, and I think that looks quite interesting. And I'm using a mix here of the green Tailor Shape and the blue one, which gives me a really lovely turquoise. I'm adding some warm color as well to my page. I have to say that I'm not sure if I use a Tailor Shape here, maybe, but it also might be the raw sienna watercolor. I really can't remember what I had on my desk when I created that. Yeah, but I wanted to bring in some warmth, so I think the mood changes immediately with that yellow. At the bottom, it looks almost like a sunset. Oh, now I'm showing it. It's a mix of the yellow and the magenta. So I think I picked only these products for this page, not any other colors, so it's a bit easier for beginners. But as I said, you don't have to have these colors to recreate something similar. It will work with any other water-soluble medium. Whilst this is drying, I'm preparing my focal point, which will be the bird from our Textured Birds #2 stamp set. The textured birds are already sold out in the clear version and they will not be back. They are available as a rubber plate, but I thought over time I cannot always restock on the same stamp sets. And so for the future, we will not do many restocks of our stamps, maybe one time if they are quite popular. Yes, but I think we might have another Texture Bird stamp set next year, a new one, because it's one of my favorite sets. I used the #1 set a lot, and I'm using this one a lot. I'm using the same paints I've used on my spread to color in that birdie. Of course, you can use any medium to color in that stamped image. Everything will work here. You can use stamping ink, watercolor pencils, watercolors, whatever you love to use. Before I'm adhering my bird as the focal point, I will do some background stamping. And I'm using a star stamp. I guess it's also on that same stamp set, if I'm not mistaken. There are some single stars and hearts, I believe. And I'm just using it to create texture and interest on the background. And as this looks like a sunset almost, I decided to add the stars to the top. Maybe it would have been nice to use white for that, but I didn't think of it when I was making the page. That might have been better, but I also really like the stars in black. I am now going to adhere my birdie, and I'm using a liquid glue to adhere it. And what I'm also going to do is I will adhere my sentiment. I used the words from the same stamp set, and I've stamped it to mixed media paper and then added a little bit of color with the yellow, and I will glue everything down off camera. I'm now sharing a photo of my finished page. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will have a lovely rest of the week. Bye!